first YouTube episode for Carlisle Network Youth Church. We are a group of people, a gathering, a network, all those kind of words put in together. And we're excited to be here. We're excited to be online. We're excited to try to do something slightly different for us here and now during this really strange time where so many of us are getting our lives thrown into all kinds of different ways of doing things because of COVID-19 or coronavirus. It's just a really weird time for all of us. So we want to try to create something here on YouTube that we hope that you will get involved with. We want this to be an interactive thing. We want this to be something that it's not just about seeing some weird foreign dude on the screen. We want you to be a part of this, so help us, give us feedback, tell us what you want to see, tell us what you want this thing to be all about. We want this to be something that is helpful for young people, teenagers in Carlisle and the surrounding areas in north of Cumbria. We know that this is a weird and rough and unusual time. So we really want this to be something that's fun, it's helpful, it's useful, that's a little bit of a timeout, but at the same time it's also something that helps us to think about what's going on, help us to process what's going on, and help us to understand a bigger picture of how we all fit into this COVID-19 time in our lives and what that looks like to be a person living in Carlisle and the surrounding villages here in So a few things that we want to do is we actually want to do some thoughtful ideas and suggestions for stuff to do while we're bored out of our skulls at home. We want to maybe talk about some of the things that are going on and how we're feeling about that and what maybe even books like the Bible would have to say about that. And then we also want to just encourage people. We want to encourage you. We want you to feel like things are okay, even if things are hard. We want to spread some joy, spread some good news, spread some fun activities as well. So we want all that to be part of what we're doing. This is our first one. We don't know what it'll be over time. It'll develop, and we hope that you will help us with that. So at the end, we'll have some contact information. Just shoot us a DM on Instagram or Facebook or comment below, etc. You guys know how to do all that. So it's more just give us ideas of what you would like to see. So one of the things that we might find difficult right now is the fact that we're stuck inside with people, our family maybe, who we see all the time, and it sort of feels like we're living on top of each other. It feels like we're maybe getting kind of annoyed with each other and feeling like everything's kind of close and tight. So one of the big things about that is like, how do we show each other that we love each other? How do we show and how do we receive love from other people? I think something that's really helpful is to think about, how do you show that you care about people around you? How do you receive that same thing? And just a quick little story. When a few years ago, I had a different job, a different place, back home in Norway, where I'm from. And there was this little old lady who'd come into my job every once in a while into where I worked, and she was the sweetest little old lady. She'd like leave candy bars and chocolate bars on my desk and say, hey, I'm thinking about you, you're doing a great job, all those kind of things. But for whatever reason, she just really annoyed me. And if I'm very honest, like, if she wasn't a little old lady, I'd just knock her out. And there was no reason for that. She was just being super sweet and super gentle and super kind with me. And she was showing me that she cared about me by giving me some stuff and giving me encouragement. And for whatever reason, I wasn't able to receive that from her, and that's on me. But I think if I'd been more open to receiving from her, she would have, I would have maybe been able to pass that same encouragement and generosity on to other people. But I just wasn't. And I think that we all have different ways of showing and receiving love and care. And so for some of us, it's words of affirmation, which just means like, being encouraged, people saying you're doing a great job, or things like that. And for others, it's acts of service, which is like doing favors for other people without being asked, or serving them, bringing your mom a cup of tea, those kind of things, whatever it might be. And for some other people, it's like receiving gifts and giving gifts. Some people just love to give and to receive gifts, and that's just a way that they feel loved and feel appreciated. And for others, again, it's sort of more about time and having quality time. So I don't know what that looks like for you, but it might be that it's about going for a walk, or hanging out, watching a movie, whatever it is, just having some quality time. And others, again, are more about like, they're the big, like, they enjoy touch and physical touch, and like giving hugs and hanging out and all that kind of stuff, like is really important to them. And we all have that one person in our life that just is always the big hugger and things like that. And those that's important too. And you might be that person, and there's nothing wrong with that. So we all sort of have different ways of giving and receiving love, which is really important and really valid. And I think especially in this sort of really hard and difficult time where Corona's so massively influential, and it seems like it's hard for any of us to receive love at times, because we're just frustrated and grumpy. And so for us, it's more about how can we maybe encourage other people and pass it on. So some of you guys know Sophie. Sophie is an amazing person, and she actually had some amazing Bruce and Luke's donuts dropped off at my house, but actually not for me, but for my wife. And what she then did was she just surprised my wife with that, which is incredibly generous. But then because of Sophie's generosity and Sophie's way of showing that love to Leah, my wife, Leah's then been able to pass it on to me as well, and share some of the amazingness of the donuts that fantastic. And I hope you're all really jealous. And so it's passing that on. So Sophie showed love to my wife was then able to pass it on. And I think that works for all of us in this time especially. And the Bible, if you're into the Bible, that's great. If you're not, that's okay too. I think there's stuff in there, regardless of what we think about Jesus and the Bible and God. It talks about the importance of loving the people around us just as much as ourselves. It uses the word neighbor sometimes, which is bigger than just like your physical neighbor that lives right next to you, but it's the people around you, about loving other people around us just as much as we love ourselves. And it also says that when we love people, we were able to do that because God loved us first. And so it's because God loves us that we're able to pass that on. And that's the exact same thing that we're talking about, isn't it? It's about how do we love people, and people around us, their family, our friends, and all that kind of thing, especially now in this sort of tense time with all the Corona stuff that's going on. All right, some good news stories. We want good news stories. We want stories of good news. We want you to send them in, and we want to encourage each other. We want to hear good news stories in this time where there's honestly just not a lot of them. So we want to flip that on our heads. And if you're not watching the Some Good News on YouTube that John Krasinski, the guy from the American Office, is doing, definitely recommend that. So we're sort of stealing that from him. We want to give up some local good news from here in Carlisle and the surrounding areas. And so one of the amazing things is that the DT department at Trinity, they are making visors for or PPE equipment for NHS workers, which is just absolutely fantastic. And this organization called Give a Day to the City, which some of you might have heard of, they are putting together these amazing baskets full of fantastic treats that they're passing out to to different people who need some extra encouragement, to some teachers and other things like that, which is just a fantastic good news story, a way to encourage people. So we're loving that. We want to hear more. So if you've got some stories, pass them on, send them in. We want to spread the love. We want to encourage people. All right, that was it. That was our first episode. We're still new. We're still trying to figure this out. Hit us up on our socials, which you'll see sort of right in here somewhere. We'll add those in and hit us up. Put something in the comments if you want to, but we just want to know that what we did well, what we didn't do so well, what can be improved, ideas you have. If you're really into YouTube and tech and all that stuff, let us know. If you want to help us out, because we'd love for this to be a bigger thing than just one or two of us doing it. So we'd love to hear from you. Let us know. All right, we'll see you next week. Bye.